Hello everyone, how's it going? Dr. Incompetent here, and let's do a complete beginner's guide to Stoneshard, shall we? With the Of Beasts and Sages update live. I've done a few complete beginner's guides to Stoneshard, playing several different characters, and most recently I did an Arna Sword and Board beginner's guide with the Of Rags and Riches update. And some things have changed since that update, and I also wanted to play a different character, and I thought it would be a great idea for us to start a brand new game. So I could teach you how to play, I can explain the controls, the UI, some basic tips and tricks for surviving in Stoneshard, because this is a really difficult game. You can die a lot. It is all about kind of overwhelming you at first and then building up your character's power so you can handle things as a more, evolved mercenary as you get your caravan and level up. But before you get to that point, it is very brutal. And what I thought also would be fun is to play a character that I've never played before so that you can see what it's like to learn a new character and play a different playstyle. If you want to see my Arna Let's Play, or a Ranger, or a Sorceress, I will put links in the description below to those. But we're going to fire up a brand new game with this update, and I'm going to explain my thought process as we play through the game together. So it's kind of a play-along guide. You could see how to quest in the beginning, how to develop some great ways to earn some money and really get your teeth sunk into the game. And if there is interest, I will continue this series beyond just a few episodes and go as far as you all would like to go. I play a very in-depth style that is detail-oriented with just explaining everything, so nothing is left out. So there's full explanation of all phases of the game. Sound good? All right, here we go. So we're going to start a new game, and we're going to not do the prologue. The prologue is cool, but I'm going to explain the game concepts instead as we go. So we're going to just play adventure mode. Now, I'm not going to do permadeath mode. I don't think that Stoneshard is best played in permadeath mode. I used to do it this way, but it's so frustrating to lose a character you've invested a lot of time in, and especially as a new player. There are things that will feel unfair in the game if you don't understand, and if you lose your character, it just feels really bad. So this is, in my opinion, more something for people who have beaten the game or gone really far and just want an extra challenge. So we're just going to go adventure mode. Osbrook, a few weeks later.
So here I am. The caravan is gone. My leg is crippled. Half my men are dead, and the other half are deserters and traitors. The host be praised. At least I've got the Stoneshard.
Continue the conversation. I'm just going to click.
If I knew I had to deal with an entire cult of devil knows what, I'd think thrice before getting into the whole mess. I'm too old for an adventure like this.
So this is our buddy Varen that we begin the game with. You actually get to experience him more in the prologue, and he's going to be our kind of point of contact, our sage of mercenary wisdom as we build up our own career.
Ah, if only I could have a good talk with Gwinnell right now. I'd ask him what the hell is going on. I've been doing this for 30 years, but I've never found myself in such a tough spot. I need to get back to Bryn. I'm not up to going there by myself, so that's why I sent for you. Do you remember how I helped you out back then? Well, time to return the favor. Damn, it's been so long. Tell me, what have you been up to?
So at this point, you get to now choose your character, because you're explaining to Varen what your backstory is. So you can choose from all of these different options, including these bottom three, which are part of a free DLC. And I have downloaded it. As soon as you get the game, you can get these three as well. So we have done, in terms of plays on this channel for beginner's guides. We've done Arna, Derwin, Jana. And let's see if we want to be something else. So we could be Hilda, who is good with spears, ranged weapons, athletics, magic, axes, and two-handed axes. So she's a monster slayer, and she's kind of all about hybrid build, and a lot of these are. You'll see with Leo here, he is about geomancy, but also two-handed maces. Then, you can be some of the more traditional characters, Velmir or Jorgrim. But what if we said, you know what? Let's be Velmir, and let's try going two-handed axes, and really get into the feel of a two-handed weapon build. I do a lot of sword and shield because I think a shield is amazing for a beginner, but what if you don't want to play that way and you want to see, what it's like with a character that can deal a bunch of damage but might be a little bit squishier? So I think this is good. Also, spears are great, and let's say we decide to be Velmir. So what you're going to see here are our starting stats, so strength, agility, perception, and vitality and willpower. And if you put the mouse over any of these stats, you will get a tooltip window that pops up that explains what you get if you raise this stat, and then at certain thresholds of 15, 20, 25, and 30, you get an extra bonus that you can build toward. And so we're going to pick, okay, do we want to go strength to 15, and then, maybe move down into perception to 15 or something like that. We'll figure out our build in a moment, but these are our starting stats. Our unique trait is with Great Vengeance, and it says if there's a boss, mini-boss, or more than 4 enemies within vision, applies all enemies within vision more damage. So he's really good at fighting bosses or lots of enemies. And if you kill a mini-boss, it applies all enemies on the location with half of this penalty. And we get an extra boost of experience for each mini-boss killed for the first time. So, this guy is really, really good at fighting the big boys, which is just a nice little extra perk. These are our starting affinities, which are the skills we're kind of already trained in, so we don't need to pick up a treatise or a skill book to learn the first tier of skills for spears, two-handed axes, maces, ranged weapons, athletics, and warfare. And then we have some background story. Now, these are important, but the cool thing about Stoneshard is if you pick up a book for another skill tree, you can just learn it and go in there if you want to kind of move around with your characters. But these give us some initial direction. So I'm going to say let's do Velmir, and the plan is to go two-handed weapons and just be, the Butcher of Blavica.
Is that so? Interesting. Anyway, enough pleasantries. It's time to get to work.
Let's do it.
So here's the deal. I can't walk to Bryn with my leg like this. So unless you plan to carry me, we need a cart. We need horses.
Okay, I'm not going to carry you.
We're in luck, though. While you were away, I had a talk with the village elder. We came to an agreement. We'll do a couple of tasks for them, and they'll give us a cart and 2 horses. Don't worry about the job. It's nothing special. I don't think you need my advice on how to deal with brigands or the undead. The elder will give you the details. You should go see him right away. No time to waste. Ah, I almost forgot. Here's a map of the area. You need it more than I do.
Awesome. So he gives us this map, and we'll take this, of course.
You can also ask the innkeeper about local events. He is a talkative kind. I'm sure he'll answer any of your questions. Off you go then. Good luck.
Alrighty. Okay, so now we can go about the business of playing the game. And you can see that we have a central ribbon running along the bottom of the screen that is kind of the main UI console. And let's just talk about each button as they go. So there's our backpack or inventory. On the far left, you can click this button to open up your inventory panel, which takes up the right portion of the screen, a la Diablo. You can push I to open and close that as well. You also have your character menu, which is this kind of portrait here. You can click C to open and close that too. And then we have abilities. And you notice there's a little plus icon right here. That's because we start with 2 ability points. So we'll talk about spending those in a moment. And you can open and close that with S on the keyboard. And then we have our quest panel, which is J, or clicking this 4th button to the right of the left set of buttons here, which is our journal. And it not only does it have your quests, which gives you an explanation of what you're doing, you can click Show on Map to explain where we need to go. But it also you can click on the map, you can see your reputation in different settlements, and you can get your stats here from this window. Now, in the center, you're going to see that going from 1 to 0, which correspond to the number keys along the top of your keyboard, this is like our action bar or skill bar, and we already have Examine Surroundings, this magnifying glass set to number 1. You can click this button, or you can push number 1. You can also click and hold in left click to like drag this around if you want to put it somewhere else, but I actually always keep Examine Surroundings right here because it's vital for detecting traps. It's super useful. I use it all the time. Then on the far right at the 0 key, we have crafting, which you can click or push 0 to do. I actually also keep that bound right there. Then above the bar, you're going to see our hit points and our energy. Hit points or health in red, energy in blue. And they start out at 100, and we will increase them as we level up. You can also have more action bars that you toggle with the up and down keys right here by this little number 1 to the left of the magnifying glass. Then on the right side of this ribbon, we have modes and actions, which you can get to with B. And if you click this, there are some just different things that you can do. And you can shout, you can reload. And actually, shout, I'm going to left click and hold and put this down to 8. And then reload, I'm going to also put down here. Rest, I don't need to specifically put on the action bar because I just push R to rest, and that works just fine. And attack mode you can get to just by pushing Control, so I don't really need a special button for that. If you push Control, you'll notice that your mouse cursor changes into a sword. And when it's not on attack mode, it's just a regular pointer. Then we have the hourglass is skip turn, so you can push spacebar or push 5 on the numpad to skip turn, like in traditional roguelikes. And then you have the gears, which are your options. You can click that or push escape. In the upper left, you're going to see our current quest that we're tracking and the directives. And then on the screen, we're inside the inn here in Osbrook, and you can mouse over people for little icons of what you can do. So the dialogue obviously means we could talk to the innkeeper, or Varen, or the innkeeper's wife over here, or look at that cat, or you'll see the gears over the hearth here. This means you can interact with this. We could cook if we wanted to, but we don't have it. And as you see when I'm mousing, there are these white dots that appear. That is showing the path that my character will take if I use click to move, which I can. So like, let's say, for example, I'm just going to click on this bear pelt and just walk up here. And that's where my character goes. And each dot that I'm walking is a turn in the game. This is a turn-based game. That doesn't generally matter unless you're in combat, but it's good to know. As you cross this threshold, you get an explanation of the save system in the game. And this map symbol, the little kind of green house with the moon symbol, indicates locations with a save point. So we can save the game here by resting at the inn. You can also save by using a bedroll. And when you push escape, you can save and quit the game. But you can't just quick save the game willy-nilly. You're going to need to rest in a tavern or use a bedroll in a safe place to save the game. So I'm just going to close this little tooltip here. And I'm going to open my inventory and just take a look at what we have. So we start with this spear. We also start with a helmet, but it's broken. However, even though this helmet, the Scadian helmet, is broken, it is offering more protection than this vagrant cowl that we begin with. So let's talk about what we have here. So this helmet is a Tier 2 unique medium headgear. How do I know that? Well, the diamond in the upper right tells you what tier it is, 1 being the worst and going all the way up into kind of the upper echelon, 2, 3, 4, 5, to get to better gear. Right now, we're mostly going to see Tier 1 stuff, but you might start, depending on what character you choose, with a unique item where the text is in purple, and it might be Tier 2. But like most of the gear that you begin with, if it's good, it's busted. How do you know it's busted? Well, you can see all the numbers in parentheses that are in red, and with the broken shield icon, that means that this is suffering from a durability hit. The durability is in the tooltip, right underneath some of the stats there, kind of right above the flavor text, and you'll see, for example, with what I have equipped in the box on the left, my durability is 20 out of 20. It's in full repair for the Vagrant Cowl. But for my helmet, it's 45 out of 100. So it has way more durability, but it's busted, and we need to fix it. And it'd be rather expensive for us to try and fix it. Now, additionally, you could see the different stats that this helmet offers. The Vagrant Cowl is light headgear, and the helmet here is medium headgear. That matters for armor proficiencies and skills that you'll see in a moment when we decide to skill up. But I'm just going to go ahead and right-click on this helmet, and then it opens up a contextual menu. I'm just going to say Equip. I want to put on this hat. You can see I'm now wearing the hat. The game reflects the new equipment I have. I start here with this embroidered caftan, which is light, but it is full durability, so it's nice. And generally when you start with purple stuff, you want to have that equipped because it's just better than the starter gear. And then I have this spear. I also have a crossbow. I'm going to click this kind of these 2 arrows that looks like a refresh symbol, and you can push W, or you can click this button to switch to your second weapon slot. That does take a turn in turn-based mode. However, if you're fighting, that will take a turn to do that. And I'm just going to left-click, pick that up, and drop that right there. And then over here, I'm going to drop those arrows. So now, I have a training crossbow with, arrows. These are bolts for a crossbow. Arrows for bow, bolt for crossbow. And I now have this equipped as a ranged weapon. And I'm going to go back to my spear by clicking this button. Now, I've got my helmet equipped, and you can see my entire paper doll here, what I have in each slot. And what I'm missing, I don't have any gloves, I only have 1 of 2 rings, I don't have a necklace, I don't have a belt. I do start with this purple ring, which is great, boosts accuracy, crit chance, and counter chance. You can just mouse over this to see all of the stats that it's giving or taking away, the durability. The value in the bottom right corner is how much it would theoretically sell for, but that's kind of relative based on our own ability to sell things, based on our reputation in the town, based on the different vendor types. Each vendor will have certain goods that they value more than others, and so it becomes important to know which vendor to sell things to, but usually it's just like what they sell. So, for example, the carpenter pays more for wooden stuff, and the blacksmith likes metal stuff. So we'll keep an eye out on that. To try to maximize the value that we get. So here's our gear in this upper portion. This is how much money I have right here. I start with 250 gold or crowns. And then I have this map. I'm going to right-click on it and say Use. And now you see, whoa, my map has filled in. Now, the color portion of the map is like what we've really explored. But if you get a map by buying it, finding it, and using it, you get this kind of black and white version of the details sketched in to show you what is here, but when I actually travel there, it will fully color that portion of the map. So we get a better sense of our surroundings with the map. And I'm just going to, you could scroll this map in and out with the wheel, and you can move it around by clicking middle mouse and dragging the mouse around. If you click middle mouse, you'll see the up, down, left, right kind of mouse symbol change, and that means you can move this around. Now, something super useful that I have done is I don't like using the middle mouse button So you can actually rebind that in the options, and I have it as mouse button 4, so it's easier for me to move the map around. And I'm going to open the inventory again. And now that I've used this, you'll see how it says in red, you've already studied this map. That means I can sell it. I don't need it anymore. And there is somebody in town who will buy that. I'm going to click this button right here next to the weapon switch, which is auto sort, or you can push T to kind of move things around. You do not have weight in Stoneshard, but you have inventory Tetris, where each of these squares in this bottom portion represent how much I can carry, and some items take up 1 square, like this healing salve. These lockpicks take up 2, or this cowl takes up 4, whatever it is. That's how much space it's going to take to carry around, and this is all the space that I have, so we have to be very mindful of our inventory space. I begin with this pouch, which is indeed holding my 250 coins. I start with 2 splints, which can stabilize an injury, and we'll talk about that when it happens. Most of this guide is going to be me explaining things as they appear, or as they become important. These are lockpicks for picking, well, locks on doors or chests. This is some food. I have some flatbread. I have these 2 healing salves to help me if I get injured. And I have a rag which I can use to craft a bandage if I find another one. And I'm going to close my inventory with I. Now, if I push S to go back to skills, remember how we said we'd really like to go into 2-handed axes? That sounds fun. And we could also go into 2-handed maces if we want, or we could go into 2-handed swords, although you'll notice because our character does not start with any learning in this skill, these are all locked for us. But 2-handed axes, the first tier on this tree, is unlocked, and we can get these with our points. So we could learn hooking chop, shield breaker, and dismember, for example. We could also go into ranged weapons and learn a ranged weapon skill. We also have warfare, if we would like. And I think we started with athletics, which is very nice. So what do we want to do? Well, I want to spend my skill points in axes, but I don't even have an axe yet. So maybe we should wait until we get one and see if we can get one. So let's just hold off on spending our skill points for a moment. First thing that you want to do is go back and talk to Varen, and say, and he says any questions, and you can ask him some more questions about the story if you want, but I'm not going to focus as much on the story as much as explaining the game. I just want to show you, if you want to get into the lore, that would be a way you can do that. Also, we want to go here and talk to the innkeeper, and he's like, hey, Bruck says, you're a friend of Varen, right? Welcome to the Black Boar. There's no finer establishment for leagues. Frankly, I wouldn't even bother with that overpriced hovel in Manshire they call a tavern. So do you need beer, or are you here for a chat? So what you can do is a lot with this guy. You can, and some of these options will be color-coded. The green, renting a room where it says allows to save the game. Whenever you see that kind of light green, that means it's going to be an action that leads to saving the game. This gold text, show me what you're selling, is when you want to open up somebody's buying and selling interface. And then you can just ask him about stuff. You could say, hey, you know, what's going on around here? Can you tell me the story of your inn? I was thinking about, visiting some places around town. Can you tell me anything interesting about the area? And it's always good to just explore all these dialogue options, because sometimes you'll learn things that are really important, or you will find people can tell you things about the surrounding area, like a hunter's camp or an abandoned site or something like that you can mark on your map. So you could say, hey, what's going on here? And you can just talk to him and go through all these different dialogue options that I'm moving through very quickly. And he tells you, like, how to get around town, heard anything interesting, and he says, we've had a bad harvest, peace can't come soon enough, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't have anything great for us. Now, if you say what you're selling, however, innkeepers generally will sell food, and you need food in this game. Food is vital just like drink, because Stoneshard is kind of a survival turn-based RPG. So we have to make sure we manage our injuries. We have to make sure we manage our sanity. manage our hunger, our thirst, and even our immunity for getting sick, for example. So all of these different foods are here. I don't need to buy anything at the moment, but this is a great place to come and get food until you can prepare it yourself. The innkeeper also has a lot of money. You can see in the upper left like how much money he's got, and he buys a lot of stuff, so it's nice to just sell to innkeepers. If you mouse over these scales right here, you can tell, what this guy does in terms of commodities. So if you are selling, like, you can't really sell commodities at the beginning of the game, but later, like let's say you get a huge barrel of beer, you can see what the demand is, how much they're paying for it, and then if you mouse over this, you can see like what this trader is interested in, what he will buy. So he'll buy all kinds of things, and what he might even pay extra for. So you can always go up here with traders to see what they'll buy and what they like, because what they like will give you an indication of what they'll pay more than other people for. Now, if I go to the character screen by pushing C, I do want to explain a few things about the health tab. So this second tab to the right here, underneath your character, with the heart, is our health. You get this body right here that shows with these green bars the health of the different parts of your body that the game keeps track of. So like if you get a head injury, this bar goes down, and you can repair individual sections of your body with your healing salve, your bandages, your splints, etc. These stats will show you if you're hungry, we're not. If you're thirsty, we're not. If you're drunk or intoxicated, we're not. Your level of pain, your level of fatigue, which you can remedy by sleeping, your immunity to maladies, and then your psyche, how you're doing in terms of your morale and your sanity. And you have to manage all of these things. We also don't have any maladies at the moment. So when we get hurt, we'll look at this, but I just want to show you where it is. And then you can kind of come through here. The bio is just some flavored text. This attribute screen is a great way to just see all of the numbers of your character, your offense, defense, magic, etc. I'm going to close that. And let's go talk to this lady here. And you could say, what do you say to a little chat? And she says, okay, blah, 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 and heard anything interesting? And not really. So she also sells some booze and some food. And if we click on this right here, it opens up the cooking screen, and it explains right here that we can cook all of these dishes on the left. And if you mouse over any of these, for example, peasant stew, it will bring up the tooltip which will show you what you need. So to make peasant stew, we'd need a pot of water, 2 vegetables, and then either a third vegetable or a mushroom. And we could make this peasant stew, which would restore 10% of our hunger, 8% of our thirst, and give us an 120 turn boost on healing efficiency and fortitude. And if you ever want to fill up this pot with water to make a soup, all you have to do is, I'm just going to close this window, is right-click on your water skin, select pour into, and then pour it into this pot right here. And then you could cook. Once you're done, just right-click on this and say pour back into your water skin, and there you go. This is what we're going to be carrying around to drink on the go so that we don't die of dehydration. Okay, I'm going to come out of the inn now. And while we're here, you could see that once we get out of the inn, not all of the screen is visible. There is fog of war over everything that we haven't been through, and we need to explore the town. You can left-click to move, which is generally how I move, but if you want to move more precisely, like in combat, you can use the numpad to just move in the different directions, diagonally, left, right, up, and down. However, you cannot move diagonally around corners. So like if I'm right here, I cannot move diagonally to this square. You'll notice how when I mouse over it, there's the little circular pip below me, meaning I would have to, if I click here, I have to move down to move over. So you can't move diagonally if there is an obstacle. This is incredibly important in combat, because if you're counting on that being one move, but there's something in the way, it will get in your way. So you need to kind of just be mindful so that you don't get yourself stuck. Now this vagrant over here, Ram, actually has a quest for us. So you could talk to him, but if you give him this third option, do you have any work for me? He says, I do have a task. I lost everything. So he needs some more booze, and he wants some brandy. So all we have to do is get some brandy and bring it to this guy, and he gives us a reward. So you just say, deal. And now we have a new quest, and if I push J to open the journal and go to the quest tab, you'll see Ram the Drunkard's quest has appeared down here. Now, I'm not going to track that, but one of the things I want to do here in the opening is show you all the places in Osbrook where you can get a quest. This dude chilling right here is the hunter or the trapper, and he kind of roves around from town to town, and he's great because I'll talk to him. He sells all things related to hunting. So sometimes he'll sell a bedroll. He sells a bear pelt, but it's really expensive. He could sell you some traps. He also buys a lot of stuff. He buys alcohol, medicine, beverages, jewelry, and he pays pretty well. So he's a kind of a nice guy to have around. I'm going to move down here, and we get to the town center. And here, you can see on this sign, I can just click it. It's the smithy. Here's the blacksmith. And then here's some stalls that sell food. Buying raw food is great for cooking so that you can make a meal, save a little money from the inn's prices. And we do start with some recipes, so that's nice. You do need to go learn the recipes because you can't access them unless you're at the cooking area. So either write them down or just buy some food and see what it takes at the cooking area. But we'll talk about that in a moment when we need to cook. For now, let's go over here. And this is J-Bar, and he's the blacksmith, and let's just see what he has for sale. Does he have a two-handed axe? He does. So he has this Deloiry. I don't know how to pronounce that, but let's just pretend that's correct. So this thing is a common two-handed axe, and if you compare it to our spear, it does do one more damage, but it's a different damage type. It's slashing versus piercing. And you can expect that some enemies are strong against different types of damage, but whenever we're using an axe, it's probably going to be slashing. And you could see what this gives us. It is very, very similar in terms of armor penetration. It does offer more body part damage. It's a little less accurate. It has a chance to fumble, but it causes bleed at 15% chance, and increases our skill energy cost, but I want this, and it's expensive, but you're not going to get a good two-handed axe otherwise. The weapons that people around that you kill will have are going to be terrible. There usually be some kind of like makeshift thing that they've thrown together. So I'm going to buy this. It's expensive, and I'm going to buy this crowbar. The crowbar is an invaluable tool. I really recommend buying a crowbar because it allows you to disarm all traps, open all locks at a 100% chance. So I'm just going to actually buy that. Now I'm down on money. He will buy our lockpicks though, and I'm going to sell these. I don't need these because I've got my crowbar. So I'm just going to sell those back to him to get a little bit of extra cash. And I'm going to equip this two-handed axe, and I'm going to sell him our spear, just dropping it over on his side. You can also shift left-click from each side to buy and sell, and we've gone back up to 62. Now, this smith can also repair anything that is metal, like our helmet, but you'll notice our helmet is, because it's a tier 2 item, it's expensive to repair. It costs 93 coins, so we don't have enough to repair it, but that's okay. We'll get there. So this guy can repair metal stuff, but he can't repair, like, leather or cloth. We have to go to the tailor for that. You can see what he buys and what he's interested in. But instead of moving on, I'm going to talk to him again, and I'm going to say, do you have any work for me? Because he has a quest for us. And so he wants some just random weapons, and I'm just clicking through the dialogue so I can get into explaining the game to you. If you want me to read out all the dialogue and the story, I do this in my Let's Play of the game, and I'll link those below where I'm kind of going through. This is more about just explaining how to play, so I'll leave you to reading through all of the non-vital dialogue on your own. And I'm going to say he wants cleavers and simple blades, so he wants 3 of them, and so we say cool, and if I push J, all he really needs would be cleavers and homemade swords. And if we get 3, we give them to him. He gives us some money, which is fantastic. Now I'm going to go over here, and all of these 3 vendors sell food. So this guy sells meat, and she sells fruit, and she sells veg. And this guy is like, Bert is like the general goods vendor, and he's kind of a grifter, and he, has a bunch of stuff, and he wants you to sell your stuff to him and make a deal with him. And you're like, okay, fine, sure. And what does he have for sale? So you see, he sells like a kind of a hodgepodge of items. He will buy a whole bunch of pretty much anything, but he doesn't pay the best prices. So he's always looking for a good deal, and he's generally the last person that I want to sell to, but sometimes he's the only person that will buy certain things. He is the only person that I'm aware of that will buy our map. He doesn't give us a lot, but it's better than 0. So I'm just going to shift left-click the map and sell it to him. And does he have anything that we want? He sells these mittens, but these increase your fumbling, so I don't really want those. And I'm not going to buy anything else from him. I just want to talk to him. And let's go around and explore the rest of the town. We've got some more quests to find. Over here is the tailor. You can see up in the top center of the screen, this green icon has appeared. My character has become optimistic. So I have actually got all these benefits because, my character is feeling good. I have high morale, and I'm happy. So what that means is my character has a chance to just proc positive moods. Now, if conversely your character is low morale or low sanity, then negative things will start to happen. So we're feeling good. Let's go in here and let's talk to this dude. And Hold is kind of rough around the edges, but he does have a job, and so you could say, do you have any work? And he gives you a quest that we're not going to be able to do anytime soon because he wants some really difficult stuff, but it's good to just have this quest. Now, if you see what he's selling, this is the guy to come to get a belt, to get gloves, to get a lot of like leather and cloth stuff. He also repairs those items. So for example, like he has this rope belt or this peasant sash, and this actually decreases your fumble chance, which is pretty important. And so I'm going to buy this and equip it. I don't want to be fumbling with my weapon. He sells some gloves, and these are pretty nice. And these also decrease your fumble chance and give you a little protection. So I'm going to buy and equip those. There we go. And good. He also will buy our cowl. I'm not wearing this anymore, so I'm going to sell it to him. And we're super low on money, but that's okay. Because we're going to do a quest to get some money. But in the meantime, let's go over here. And here's the carpenter's workshop. And let's talk to the carpenter here. And just chat with this guy, and he'll give you the lowdown on the town. And talk to him about the Elder, and get some of this backstory. This becomes important later. Talk to him about Dwar. Heard anything interesting? And look, he told us about an encampment. So that's been marked on the map. And if you say, show me what you're selling, he sells you everything wooden. That includes bows, shields, arrows, bolts. So just keep an eye out for this dude. Okay. And I'm going to come down here, and there's another quest for us to get, which is from the herbalist. So this guy down here, I'm going to click on this. This is the herbalist house, and he's out in his herb garden here. And you say, do you have any work for me? And he wants you to get a bunch of different herbs, spearmint, fleawort, and agrimony. And I say, deal. Now, if you talk to him and buy and sell, he sells you bandages, healing salves, herbal extracts to deal with pain, other herbs, splints, and he has some cool recipes. We definitely want to buy the recipe for smoking mix and rope, but we just can't afford it at the moment. So now we have a final quest. Now, this quest, I'm going to actually be tracking it. It is find herbs. So I'm going to say we need agrimony, fleawort, spearmint. And if you hold left alt, you'll notice that everything on the screen that I can pick up or interact with becomes highlighted. So there are some sticks right around here that we can get. There's some mindwort, which is an herb way up here, and I'm just going to walk over and pick that up. As long as it's not red, you're not stealing, so just pick it up. And in the town, here's some bog bean. There's just random herbs, and you can actually find the herbs that you're looking for around town. Not all of them, but some of them. And herbs sell for a few coins, so if you're really, really desperate for some coins, you can buy them from our dude here. And rhubarb you can actually eat. Here's some berries. Excellent. Alright, so I'm just kind of going around mapping the town, clicking around and, moving over here. And just looking for any of the herbs that he wants. There's wormwood. There's a leek, which is great for cooking. Excellent. There's some straw. So what we want to do early in the game, there's agrimony, which we actually need for the quest, is just do some really, really easy quests and buy some basic loot to fill out our character. Also, let's push S and let's spend our skill points. So I finally got my two-handed axe, and let's learn hooking chop. So this delivers a strike with, it does less damage, but it has 82% chance to bleed and penetrate armor, and it pulls the target from one tile away. So it's like we can hook them from far away and pull them to us, so it's really nice as a ranged attack. And then there's also dismember, which attempts to chop off, one of their members. And if you can chop off somebody's arm and they're holding a weapon, well, guess what? They don't get to use that arm on you anymore. And the weapon falls out, and they're much easier to kill. Shield Breaker is also really, really good if somebody's got a shield. It's a passive ability, but let's just take these two active abilities. I'm going to learn Hooking Chop, and I'm going to learn Dismember. And you'll notice how these purple lines kind of unify and come down, and they lead us, and they're prerequisites for going down into this second tier. But we can't get to this second tier of skills until we have read this book, which if we find a treatise book of level 2 axe skills, or, as it says, reach level 10, or if we invest 5 points into either strength, agility, or perception. And we are going to be putting points most probably into perception. So perception seems odd. Like, I'm a psycho with a two-handed axe. Why would I'm trying to dismember people. Why do I need perception? Well, the reason is because perception grants accuracy. And there's nothing worse than missing. Also, if you get to 15 perception, you get +1 vision, which just means you can see further. And you can also get +1 range on ranged weapons if you want to use them. And we started with a crossbow, so we might as well. So, I think we should put perception up to 15 and then move into strength, perhaps. Alright. So, the next thing I want to do is go down, and I'm going to sell all this stuff to the guy. And, let's see. You still working out in your herb garden, buddy? No, he's gone inside. So let's just go inside his house. And here he is. And so I'm going to sell him everything except the agrimony here. So I'm going to sell him this. And you see I'm getting like 3 coins for each one of these herbs that really took me nothing to do to just pick up. And it's great. I'm going to keep this rhubarb to eat. And now I'm going to go, before we leave town, I'm going to go up here. And I'm going to go in here and talk to this guy right here because he will give you a free weapon. So we already have some weapons, but you could choose a two-handed weapon and you could say, give me a two-handed axe. And look, he actually gives us the axe that we just bought. So if you want to be savvy, go here and get your, if you want to do two-handed axe, or you want to do two-handed mace, or any weapon type they will sell you, or give you rather, for free, a really basic weapon. And if you don't start with a ranged weapon, you can get a nice basic ranged weapon from them. So I actually wasted some coins by getting that from this guy, and that's okay. I'm just going to sell this immediately. Hey, dude, I got this thing for you. You buy this? And he will. So I wasted about 100 coins, and that's depressing. So don't do what I did. I forgot that they would give you something that high quality. That's pretty nice. So normally I don't need to get a weapon. I just get a ranged weapon, but that's great. Now, we've done all of that, and it's time to actually just leave. So I'm going to go to the right. You could pick any direction. And I'm going to start looking for the herbs. There's a spearmint to do this quest. Now, what you want to do is be very, very mindful of the edges of the screen. So, if I push M to bring up the map, here's the town, Osbrook. And I have now moved east along the road. And this is where you can change zones from. Now, enemies will follow you across zones if they're within anywhere from 6 to 8 tiles. It kind of depends. And when you do cross zones, you lose a turn doing it, so the enemies can kind of catch up on you. So if you're trying to travel and be safe, what I always do is just walk along the very edge, so at the first sign of danger, I can just run away. Generally, too, in the game, the road is patrolled by thugs who are trying to kill us, and it's a dangerous place to go. So sometimes just walking along the edges, you can avoid trouble from humans. You might find some animals, but most animals are not hostile, and the ones that are hostile will give you a warning, and you can run away from them, at least in the early game monsters. Okay, so I'm going to kind of keep going along the road, and I'm actually looking to get into a fight. I'm going to push W to select my crossbow here, and I'm going to then push 9 to load it up. So my crossbow is loaded, and I'm ready to shoot if we see anybody. There's flea wort, which we need for our quest. There's a lentil. Lentils are amazing food. They're like the best food that you can find. When you find a lentil, just right-click on it and say harvest, and it gets into a tiny thing right here. It will never spoil, and it's used in so many different recipes. They're fantastic. I'm going to get this flea wort. And I'm just going to keep going along the road. Okay, so we found some trouble. And there's 2 guys here. And I'm telling you what, this might be too much for us. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm immediately going to run back to the town so that if things go badly, we can bail. 2 enemies when you are level 1 is a lot to take on. But the game has a way of making it so it's really difficult to not get 2 enemies. So it's good to learn how to do this fight. So these guys, you saw the red exclamation points above their head. That means I see you, I am aggroed by you, and I'm going to chase you. And I will chase you for a very, very long time. So I am just walking back. I take a turn, they take a turn. Traditional turn-based game. Now, you see these question marks? This is like they're kind of losing interest. They might eventually just turn around. Yeah. So you see how they're not really following me anymore? Now at this point, I can maybe take advantage of that. And I'm going to shout and see if this guy will still follow. He's kind of thinking about it. I can't shoot him because the range on my crossbow, I will bring it up, is 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So he would need to be here for me to shoot. If your crossbow is loaded, the reload button will say unload. Do not unload. I'm going to take a step forward and one more step. Now they see me again and they want to fight. And I'm going to push spacebar to wait. And then now I could shoot the guy. When you see the mouse change to a bow, that means you could shoot. And so I'm going to. I missed. And now I'm going to run. And I'm running diagonally like this. And I'm going to click this to reload. And I'm going to shoot this guy. And we missed. Now, let's count. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to push W to switch. And remember, it takes a turn to switch weapons. And then I'm going to push spacebar. And then now this guy is 1 tile away, so I can use my hooking chop. I can either push 2 or just click it. And you see when I click it, this white box appears. This is the range of the ability. So any enemy within this I can hit. So if I target this guy, I hit him for 14. And he's using a special skill with a two-handed club where he's going to try to knock us back. So the game is telling us some weapons have access to a knockback chance, which can push us away, which it'll do a lot of damage, but it's not a big deal. We don't care that much. Now, this ability, Hooking Chop, it has 12 turn cooldown, which is a lot. So we're not going to be able to use this for another 12 turns. Jeez. Now I'm going to dismember this guy, and bam. So what happened? In the bottom left, you could see a combat log appearing. And this is invaluable. I love this. It shows you what happened. So we hit his left leg for 18 damage. He's bleeding. And then he tried to attack me, but he fumbled and completely missed. And he's losing 8 turns around from bleeding. Now, if you hold down Shift, the mouse will turn into an eyeball to let you inspect. And if you left-click this guy, you can get his screen. You can see he is an enforcer. He's a human brigand. He's low danger, so he's like the easiest thing that we could fight. But here's the key. Number 1, he's hostile and red. And here's what you want to look at, his health. He's at 31% health. He is bleeding in 2 different spots. His leg is seriously injured. He has 31% will to fight, which means he's probably going to try to run away very soon. And we're going to kill this guy real quick. So I'm going to hit him again, and he's dead. So, what happened? Well, the game is giving us a tooltip about attacks of opportunity. Let's look at the log. So, I hit him for 18 damage, and then he tried to run. And when he ran, he provoked an attack of opportunity, and I hit him again for 18, and he died from then 4 more health from bleeding. And we got 22 experience. Attacks of opportunity are if you're adjacent or within somebody's threatened area and you move away, there's a 50% chance that you provoke an attack of opportunity. That goes for us and for enemies. You can mitigate this, you can increase this, reduce this with skills and such, but it's very important to know that it's hard to run in this game. So you got to plan for that accordingly. And enemies will try to run if they think they're going to die, like that guy did. Now, this guy's coming, but both of my abilities are sadly on cooldown. So sometimes what I'm going to do is, if I hold Alt, this guy dropped a large club, which is not really that exciting. Just for point of reference, the weapons that people drop in this game are generally garbage. There's a war going on, so nobody pays well for weapons. Especially early game, they're usually not even worth picking up, except for the quest that we're doing, and the large club is not part of that quest. So I'm going to move up here, and I'm just walking away from this guy, and I'm being mindful of these plants. You can't walk through them, so I need to pass between them. And why am I doing this? I am walking like this so that my abilities come off of cooldown. Now, my Hooking Chop and my Dismember are off of cooldown, and I'm by the edge if I need to run. Now, he'll follow us if I run, and that's just to be expected, but at least we could eliminate other people from potentially joining on. So we're one-on-one, which is where we want to be. And what did we do there? What we did was we said, okay, we're fighting 2 guys, so we need to kill one as fast as possible. We tried to chip away at the guy with our crossbow from range. We missed. We're not great with it. But then the other dude was far enough away that we were able to fight him, the one enemy by itself, and then finish it up before we fought this guy. And that's kind of what you want to do, is just figure out a way to separate the group just enough so you can burn it down. And luckily, our character does so much damage that we burn things down really quickly. So now I'm just going to push spacebar and wait for this guy to get closer. I'm going to use Hooking Chop, push 2, select him, and he's wounded. I'm going to dismember, He's wounded again, and I'm just gonna... You can also right-click and just say inspect to open this screen. You see, again, just like before, he's down to 33% health, and his arm is, like, incredibly wounded. So we can just hit him, and he did hit us for 4, which is nothing. He's at 2% health. I don't even actually have to do anything. I could push spacebar, and this guy will die. You see, I didn't do anything. He just died from the bleeding. Bleeding is damage over time. It's so good. And this guy is dead. And hey, he has a homemade sword, which we need for our quest. So now, you could see our abilities. Let's talk about these. Hooking Chop. At the top of this tooltip, in the upper right, you could see the hourglass is how many turns left for the cooldown, in parentheses. And then below it, the hourglass number is just generally how many turns does it take, cooldown. And then the blue lightning bolt is how much energy it costs. So we were using a lot of energy to use our abilities. Our basic attack uses no energy. And you can basic attack by clicking on an enemy if they're adjacent, if you're in combat mode, remember when you control, or just walking into them will attack them. And we used some energy, we lost a little health, but if I push C and bring up our health screen, you could see that we're not really hurt on any of our body parts significantly. We did great. So those guys are all dead. I could push R and I can just kind of rest in place to recover our health and energy faster. And that's a great way, but just be careful when you're doing that enemies aren't around because they'll, run at you and kill you. There's some aggro money up there. Let's go get it. So now I have 2 aggro money and I have 1 Fleawort and 1 Spearmint. So I need 1 more Fleawort, 1 more Spearmint. Fleawort usually grows along the road, if memory serves. So I'm just going to keep going along the road. And let's switch back to our crossbow, and let's load it up. Oh, here's another leak. One of the things you're looking for early is free food. And here we go, Fleawort. Yep, right along the road. So you'll find it along the road. And now we have 2. So we just need Spearmint. Food is something that you'll need more often than you think, especially if you're doing a lot of fighting, and it can be quite cost intensive if you're not creating it. Oh, here's the Spearmint. Jackpot. Now, sometimes you won't find it on the first screen or in Osbrook, and you'll just have to kind of move to the adjacent tiles around Osbrook to get these, but these herbs do not grow in a forest, so make sure you're kind of in a grassy area and along the road to get them. And it's getting to be nighttime. I don't know if our guy is here. Oop, we became thirsty. You'll see this little water drop icon here. You'll hear that sound effect. Just right-click on your water skin in your purse and click drink, and that will go away. Drinking from your water skin restores 25% thirst, and you'll see that indicator when you're at 25% thirst, and it will become progressively worse as you get thirstier. Let's talk to this guy and say, I've finished your task, and he gives us, as a reward, these healing salves, which are super, super important. They're so good for helping us not die. And now I'm just going to sort my inventory a little bit. I do have some herbs I'll sell him. I don't need these, so I'm just going to go ahead and sell them. But it is worth mousing over herbs to see... oh, was I wrong about this? You know what? I was totally wrong. I completely thought you needed 2 of each. You only needed 1 of each. So I got more than I even needed. And I don't know if they changed that or I just remembered it wrong. But you only needed 1 of each. Easier than I thought. If you mouse over these herbs, you'll see that they actually do stuff for you. They make you thirsty usually if you just eat them raw, but they can have effects like Fleawort. If you're injured and you don't have healing salve, this can do in a pinch. You can apply it right to an injured body part. So you can use these, but I'm just going to sell them. I don't really need it right now. And I don't even need this rhubarb. I'm just going to sell it. It doesn't actually cook in as many recipes as you'd like. And it's getting dark. So what we want to do when it becomes dark like this, I'm going to go here and drink from the well. So you can see with these gears, you can just left click to drink, and then you can right click from the well and say collect water, and then you can point to your water skin and then fill it up. And excellent. Everybody goes inside when it's dark. Now, we do need to talk to the village elder at some point to pick up the first contract, but because there's a time limit on it, I'm not going to focus on that right now. I'm focusing on just, going around doing these quests, getting a little bit of money and learning the basics, and, we'll get into that later. Now, everybody from the outside kind of, comes out of their shops and they come to the tavern to, unwind, and you could talk to them here. They usually won't let you just like buy and sell, but you could sometimes turn in quests. But what I want to do is go up here, and I want to say, do you have a cot I could rent? And you can rent a place to stay for 15 crowns for 1 day or a week or 2 weeks or whatever. And I like to just do it day by day because I don't really ever know how long I'm going to stay in one place. So I'm just going to go 15 crowns, and he says your room is upstairs. And I'm going to then say, farewell. And then you click on these steps at the far right. We're going to go up. And there is this, like, rich jerk you can talk to for some information. And he's like, hey, I'm really important. And blibbity-blobbity. And I don't care. I'm going to go in here. This is my room. This room to the right is his. This is ours. And you'll know because you can't sleep in his room, but you can in ours. If you've paid, then the gears are there. They might be there even if you haven't paid, but they won't let you sleep if you don't pay. But one of the really important things is you have access to this trunk. And this trunk you can get even if you haven't paid for a night stay. You can get in and out of this trunk, and nobody will ever steal from it. So we can put things in here, and I'm carrying around too many healing salves. Inventory space is actually at a premium. I'm also carrying around too many splints. So I'm going to just put some extra stuff over here. And I'm going to put this sword. I don't need it now, just when I turn into quest. So I'll store it over there. And I'm just going to arrange my items like so. And this looks really good. I'm happy with this. And now, once we've stored some items away, I'm going to click rest. And you'd usually want to rest until the morning so everybody's out and you can buy and sell from the shops. But also, if you rest in the inn for, more than just 1 hour, you will get a rested bonus. Now, as a tip, you can rest for 0 hours just to save the game if you need to. But I'm going to rest until 7 a.m. And this does save the game, so we save it when we rest right here. And here we are. And I get this vigor bonus for 1,200 turns. And this, the longer you rest, this goes up to 1,500, I believe, at max. If you rest 9 hours, I think it is, something like that, 8 to 10 hours. And it gives you 5 extra energy, 5 energy restoration, and 10 fatigue resistance. So this is great. It's just a little boost for our character for getting a good night's sleep. And if I push C, you can see right here, we're 94 experience into level 1. And, we only need 250 to get to the next level, so that's beautiful. All right, so let me go down here. All right, this guy's chilling. Now, it's very, very early. So, not everybody might be out. But if I click this, you'll see I'm 20% hungry. So, I'm starting to get hungry. I have, you'll notice, several berries with me. And now people are starting to come out. Just give them a second to walk to their shop. Here they come. I'm waiting for Fruit Lady. Here she is. So, Gina here, we can buy some stuff, and she sells apples for 9, and 2 fruit and 2 berry make a fruit salad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I have 23 money left, and I'm going to go up here. And I'm going to talk to the innkeep. And I'm going to buy something from him. And what I'm going to buy is actually not food. This is good food, though. I mean, this potatoes with mushrooms is pretty cheap. It's 18. And it gives you, diet morale bonus. It helps with your fatigue, and it's nice. But I'm just going to buy this plate. and it only costs 2. I'm going to buy it, and then I'm going to show you why. I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to go to cooking, and I'm going to make fruit salad. So this fruit salad takes 2 fruit and 2 berry. So I'm just going to put all the fruit that I bought, 4 berries, 4 fruit, and I say cook. And I make this right here. I'm going to eat it just right away, and I'm going to cook it again, and then I'm going to merge it with this plate, and I could carry this around as some food that's extra. So we've crafted some food here by using some berries that we found, and it's cheaper to do this than to buy it from the inn. And you could see, by the way, that if the innkeeper was selling it, he'd sell it for 28, and we bought fruit for 18, so it was cheaper. And we can carry this around with us. It will spoil in 2 days, however, so we want to keep an eye on that. This flatbread keeps much longer. And we also have leek lentil. So we could make some lentil soup. Let's talk to my man. Show me what you're selling. Let's buy a bowl. Let's go over here. Leek lentil. And pour this into this pot. And I want to make lentil soup. Oh, I need 1 more lentil. Darn, that's right. I'm almost there. I could just make gruel, of course. I could even make a vegetable salad if I had tomato, beet, or carrot, or cabbage. But no, I need more lentil. Okay, so let's forget I said that and then do this. Now, we can go buy vegetable, but I'm just looking to be cheap. So I'll just find another lentil out there in the wild for us. Excellent. Alright, these guys looking feisty. We don't like them. Okay, right here we found some fleawort. I'm going to pick it up because I'm poor. Remember, what we're doing is actually looking for a fight. And we'll find one. Spearmint, agrimony. Nettle is not great. There's my lentil. So now I can harvest this and we can make a lentil soup. But another thing we can do is go right up here and check the map. I'm actually heading for this mill. So I'm going to follow the road north and just head for the mill. Just picking up herbs and such. It is worth mentioning that some of the map is randomized, like where the different encampments are, and some of it is fixed. So Osbrook's always going to be here. The mill will always be here, etc. But where the enemies are is random. So you might be encountering enemies on your road, and I apparently am not. So I found some to the east, but not any between here and the mill and Osbrook, which is good. And I'm going to come up to the mill and watch this. If you get close, look in the bottom left, you get 55 experience just for discovering a new area. So now we're even closer to leveling up. Now let's just walk up here. And I'm going to talk to this dude, Alan, and say, got any work? And he's like, hey, I dropped a key. Can you find it? And you say, fine, sure, I will. And then just start walking around his fields, holding Alt, looking for a key. This is a free place to come to get straw. Here it is, right here, the shed key. And we got it. Straw is used in a lot of crafting. And I'm going to come back and tell him about it. And say, I found your key. And he's like, hey man, thanks. And as a reward, you can go down to his shed. Now, you could cook here at his campfire, and so we could make, for example, lentil, leek. Lentil soup. And we're going to merge this. Now, you have to have a bowl to merge soup. You can't put it on a plate, so just be mindful of that. I'm going to pour this into my water skin here. Now I have a bunch of food, which is great. And I'm going to come down here to this little shed. And I use the key, and we open it, And he says you can have what's in here, and what's in here is pretty good. So there's a bunch of food we can cook with. There's also a bedroll. And this sells pretty well. So I'm going to take this herbal extract, which is terrific, all of this food. The key you never need again, so I can put it in there. And this bedroll, I'm actually going to just put all these herbs in here and try to pick this up. I need a little bit more space. Excellent. And we can, actually, I'm going to push T to sort and just pick up some herbs there. Now, that I'm going to sell, but what's cool about this area is you can actually rest here for free. Now, this will not give you a rested bonus as far as I remember, like the inn will, but you can just sleep here for free, reduce your fatigue, and save the game. So if I just click rest, even for 0 hours, I just get a free save. So just do this quest up here at the mill, find a key really easily, and you have a free place to rest as well. So everybody, this is a good place to end our first episode of this complete beginner's guide to Of Beasts and Sages with a brand new character type. We're doing a two-hander character here. We are the Revenger, and we are just kind of feeling out how to play the game, how to fight, do some early quests, and get our bearings so that we can really get into and enjoy this game, because it's so much fun to grow your mercenary and become more powerful, but it does take a little bit to understand the learning curve of this game, and that's what I'm trying to provide here with this series. I am putting links to my other beginner's guides if you want to see different characters, and if you have any questions about the game, please post those in the comments below. I'd love to answer any questions you have, and if you are a veteran Stoneshard player and you want to share any of your tips for new players, those would be also much appreciated. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. I will check you in the next episode when we will continue this character and explain even more about the game as we progress. Take care.